And now, time for weekly show with a passionate India lover, chairman of ITV Gold and Parikh Worldwide Media. Get ready for loving sharing from physician, philanthropist, publisher, and India advocate in this week.
Namaskar, I have with me Padma Shri recipient Dr. Sudhir Parikh, and this is our weekly show that is this week with Dr. Sudhir Parikh on ITV Gold. Namaskar, Doctor.
Namaskar everyone.
Doctor, so let's start with we recently lost gem of a person, that is Ratan Tata.
Sure.
So just talk about him, any reflections you have?
Yes, I mean, Ratan Tata is kind of icon, and it's a very successful industrialist, but the industrialist with a completely different twist, in a sense that he was not only industrialist he was one of the first 2 or 3 big industrialists in India for many, many years. And whole Tata group is known always number 1 or 2 for since independence. And he was not only industrialist in India, but he was only one who has an international, he acquired international companies, and he became kind of industrialist in the world in true sense.
Right.
See, most of the industrialists in India, they do all the businesses with the Indian companies. Or some industrialists like, what's his name, Mittal. Mittal does business outside India. He has nothing to in India. But this guy has not only in India, but he also acquired international companies like Jaguar. He acquired part of the Singapore Airlines. He acquired Range Rover. And so this is real international businessman, and he turned around those companies. So, and he is a businessman, very successful, very astute, very smart, but also very ethical, and has a lot of integrity, which is unusual you can find in the successful businessman.
Absolutely.
And he never did things which is not right in his career, and so I think that's why he is kind of a pillar of our Indian economy, and all should tribute him, and we hope, and personally I hope that he should get Bharat Ratna this year, and he deserves to be a Bharat Ratna.
Well, I mean, it definitely was a shock for everybody because nobody was thinking that he will just, go like this. But
no, he had last few years he was suffering from Parkinsonism disease, where all the muscle gets very stiff, and eventually these patients usually, when their throat and lung muscle gets stiff, that's how they end their life.
All right. So let's now talk about, there's a big news between Canada and India. Lot has been done and the relationship has hit a new low. So I want to know from you, what is next for both of them as far as the relationship is concerned?
I think relationship right now it's very low, very down. But I think in diplomacy always it will, in the future always it gets better. So we don't know, but whatever Canada is accusing government of India behind the kind of kidnapping Khalistan, one Canadian citizen, we don't know what the true story is, and unless Canadian government comes out with some kind of proof in public, it's hard to know. And the fact that Indian government is also standing tough and they are denying it completely. So I think time will tell whether Canadian Prime Minister is correct or not.
All right. So let's move on to another question. Of course, the elections. In Maharashtra, ruling alliance is getting closer to a seat sharing arrangement, while as the Mahavikas Aghadi partners are still fighting on CM face. So tell me, can BJP pull like a Haryana type of recovery in Maharashtra?
Yes and no. I mean, in election always everything is unpredictable. And you cannot predict really what's going on, because unless you know the ground reality, it's hard to predict. And even after knowing ground reality, sometimes you get surprised, just like what happened in Haryana. So we don't know, but I think both the group has or both the party has their own pluses and weaknesses. And we hope that BJP pulls through and continue the government, and let's see what happens 4 weeks from now.
And you know, with this recent shooting of the ex-Maharashtra minister, that is Baba Siddiqui, do you think like there should be like better control on guns in India?
I don't think so, because you will be surprised at how easy to get the guns in India. I mean, I was under impression myself that guns are not available that easily. But if you go to Uttar Pradesh or if you go to certain part of Mumbai, the guns are rampant, and Gundagiri is too much there, you know. And so, and as you can see that I mean, in the daylight, somebody shoots somebody who is under vice security. So that shows that I think current government of Maharashtra and the Home Minister has to answer that question, why it happened.
So, but do you think like it is like some foreign gangs which are trying to get in the guns there and like make it, you know, impacting the peace of India basically?
Well, I'm not. I don't know, and I'm not sure. But I think there is plenty of guns in India, and I think even though it's not like here that carrying gun is fundamental rights of the citizen of USA, but in India is not fundamental rights. So I think it should be controlled, should be banned, and should be make sure that sale of the guns are not so easy to purchase.
All right. So let's move on from India to US and let's talk about the elections. And postal ballots are getting in for US presidential elections. And you know, things have never been this close, where both candidates are like continue to be closer to 50% and within margin of error. So tell me, what needs to happen to swing it like one way or other?
I think only thing to happen is voters turnout. So if voter turnout will be, if it is more, I mean, high in particularly the important 7 states where the election decides, then probably it will decide the outcome. Or even the ethnic peoples come out. Means if black people comes out in high number, then probably Vice President Kamala Harris has a better chance. So we don't know, but right now, as you say, the election is very close. It is hard to predict. So let's see if anything changes. And but I think my personal assessment is that probably Trump will win.
All right. Okay.
Because of a few reasons. Because still only 74% of the black people are supporting Kamala Harris, not 95%, just like they did in Obama's time. Then black women are supporting probably 95% to Kamala Harris, but black man is not supporting to Kamala Harris. And it's a big thing. And number 3, the young people, I mean young generation, those who are in their 20s, 30s and 40s, they are supporting more to Trump because they all are interested in their own career, own economics and own success in the business. And they pursue Kamala Harris. I mean, it's a kind of perception that Democrats are a little less favorable to growth of the economy than a Republican. And last thing is, I think, immigration debacle in the southern border where Kamala Harris was in charge there as a vice president. So I think really buck stops at her what happened there, right? So that also can hurt her.
All right. And you know, I have been watching so many of these, like Kamala Harris has like many like music, you know, celebrities basically, they have endorsed her. And even if you see, you know, now they have Bruce Springsteen and even Indian musician A.R. Rahman also endorsed her. So tell me, what is it with like Hollywood and Bollywood that they are endorsing just Democrats? Why not Republicans?
Well, I mean, because the philosophy or thinking of their principle of Democrats and people in the Hollywood, they are very liberal, and they kind of matches with each other. That's why probably more Hollywood influencers are supporting always the Democratic candidate.
But what about Bollywood? I see now Bollywood also supporting Kamala Harris.
Right. I mean, Bollywood is supporting Kamala Harris because probably the same thing. They are more liberal in the social issues, and therefore it could be, or could be because her mother is Indian and she is Indian descent in a way. So in India, sometimes we carried away ourselves just for one symbolic thing, you know, and that can be the reason. We don't know.
All right. And so let's move on to our technology news, which is like, you know, US proposes ban on smart cars with Chinese and Russian tech. Similarly, you know, Chinese government has expressed concerns as Tesla collecting local user data. So, you know, technology is becoming basically very common and it is global. So how do we deal with these like local concerns?
I think as you say, the technology is a global. It's hard to separate and make it into two parts, local and international. So it's impossible really to regulate technology. I mean, close to impossible, not saying impossible, but again, the locally US government or US lawmakers should regulate according to USA need. The same thing China will do. They will do according to their internal need. And every country can do that. And so it can be regulated, but regulation is not that effective because of it's so interconnected. Like for example, today there's a big chip company in England, ASML or something like that. It dropped almost 20% market stock value. Because they predict that their business is getting slower now in the fourth quarter. So because of that, all other chip stocks dropped today and the whole market dropped. So that shows that how interconnected this technology thing is, because it's not limited to or monopoly of the one country. And that's why it's impossible to, or close to impossible to regulate.
All right. So now let's move on to our rapid fire round. And my first question is from Garima. Garima wants to know, Israel is US ally and recent meeting between President Putin and Iran is signaling a strong alliance there. Is this causing camps to be formed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, next question is from Ashok. Ashok wants to know, will US get involved in the rift between India and Canada being a common ally? Yes or no?
No, because I think USA will side with the Canada rather than India in this issue.
Okay. Vinod wants to know, Ajay Banga, president of the World Bank and former CEO of MasterCard, offered insights on work-life balance and said it's a personal thing. Is it a cultural thing or a personal thing?
I think it is a personal thing.
Okay. Now, next question is from Kuldeep. Kuldeep wants to know, with Jaishankar visiting Pakistan for SCO, will there be any bilateral discussions?
Yes, there will be always there is a bilateral discussion, even though it doesn't come in the public. But whenever any two leaders meet of two different countries, they always discuss what is their own issue, usually along with the other issues.
Okay. So the next question is from Akriti. Akriti wants to know, India and US just did a $4 billion drones deal. Is this with a common eye on China?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is from Tuhina. Tuhina wants to know, was it a diplomatic mistake for Canada to level change against Indian diplomats there? Yes or no?
No, but I think that's how diplomacy works. I mean, without knowing much facts of the issue, it's hard to say that whether they did right or wrong thing.
All right. And that takes care of all the rapid fire. And before you give out this week's message, I want to remind our viewers that you can follow Dr. Sudhir Parikh on Facebook at Dr. Parikh, and you can also follow him on Twitter. The handle is SUDPARIKH. Please go ahead.
Dear friends, we are just completed our Navratri Mahotsavs and our cultural Mahotsav of Durga Mata, Amba Mata and so forth. And now we are going to enter into the a celebration of the Diwali, which is a kind of it's a lighting of the lights. It means to see our life in the future with the positive attitude. So be positive. Look Diwali as a occasion to be a more optimistic and follow the or take the kind of pledge yourself to become more positive, more optimistic, and more productive. And so wish you all the in advance happy Diwali to all the viewers, and we'll see you again next week. Till then, goodbye.